Mark's not even looking. Just recorded you.
All right. This is going to be a speech based on value. I hope by the end of the speech that I have convinced you that all adults and even some older youth should all take a first aid course. So 3 main things we're going to talk about is why you should take a first aid course, research that's been conducted on people's beliefs about what they feel like they know in an emergency situation, and then the last and final one is going to be what the American Red Cross actually says you should know in a first aid course, so what it should consist of. So first I want you to imagine that you come on the scene of an accident and there's people injured in the vehicle. Say somebody's thrown from the vehicle and they're unconscious. Do you know what to do? So imagine somebody's bleeding out and you realize if you don't stop the bleeding, that person could die, that it's severe enough. Do you actually know what to do in that situation? Imagine you pull a child from a pool and they've drowned and they're unconscious. Do you know what to do? Imagine you watch somebody fall from someplace very high and they're on the ground, they're conscious and they're breathing, but do you know what to do in that situation? There's research that was conducted, and this is my second point. A lot of people don't know what to do actually. And there was a hospital out of the UK, and they hired a group called ICM. ICM conducted research to figure out what adults actually know in an emergency situation and how they would respond. ICM conducted research with 2,045 adults, so a pretty large group of people. And these are the answers that people gave. Firstly, ICM asked people, would you be confident in responding in a situation for emergency? 59% of the people said no, they would not be confident. ICM asked, would you do anything in an emergency situation to try to help before some responders were able to show up? 24% of the people said they would do nothing. They would just leave the person there, possibly call, in the States, 911, or here it's 000, but an emergency services line, and they would do nothing for the person besides that. 39% of the people said that they would try to do something, but they weren't really sure if they knew what to do. 28% of the people said, yes, I'll do something, and I feel like I know what to do. So the research went a little bit further, and with those 28% that said they would know what to do, they asked them more questions to figure out if they actually knew the right answers. And it actually came back that a lot of the people in that 28% group did not know what to do in emergency situations, even though they felt like they did. So again, I'm going to keep stressing the point that just basic knowledge from first aid could equip you with the tools to know what to do in an emergency situation. My next point is about the American Red Cross. So the American Red Cross says 3 major things about what a person should have in a first aid course. So the first one is to address things like cuts and burns and head and neck injuries. That's the first section of first aid. So I want to tell you a story about a head and neck injury. Where we live right now, we actually have a BMX track for BMX bikes. These are non-motorized, kids go. And we had an incident where a child was actually thrown from a bike and they were knocked unconscious, but they were breathing. Several parents came to the child before I actually got there, and then when I approached the child, parents were getting ready to remove the helmet off of the child. The child was actually breathing even though he was unconscious, so there was no reason to get immediately to his face to correct anything with his airway. Now our next important thing would be considering if we take and pull that helmet off, there could actually be neck or spinal cord injury, and we don't know it yet. So a lot of people wouldn't even think of things like that with a fall, but those are very important things. So more damage could have been done. So I actually said, no, wait, stop. He needs to get checked out. Let's leave him like he is. He's breathing. And so first aid responders came, and everything worked out okay with the child, but it's good just to have that information and know what you should be thinking first in those situations. The second thing that American Red Cross says is that people should be CPR and AED certified. With that point, the American Heart Association actually talks about breathing and non-breathing CPR, which some people have possibly heard of. And America actually put out some information through the American Heart Association saying, would you be more likely to do CPR for someone if you actually didn't have to breathe for them? And most people said, yes, that's true. We would be more likely to do it if we only have to do compressions on someone and we don't have to breathe for them. So that's great. But again, another reason why you should know more about this is that actually doesn't work for infants and children. They still need you to actually breathe for them. So again, it just is good to keep continuing to have all the information made up in first aid and CPR courses. Don't just go off of bits and pieces of information. Go ahead and get full knowledge, which can come in a couple days course. With an AED device, this is a great point. OSHA actually, which stands for an Occupational Health and Safety Group that goes into companies, OSHA did a survey, and this was in 2002, and they looked at the accidents that actually happened at workplace environments. And OSHA specifically wanted to look at the AED device. And an AED device is actually just 2 patches, and it hooks up onto a person, you turn it on, it'll deliver shocks, it can actually bring someone to life. So OSHA asked, out of 6,628 workplace deaths, if AED devices would have been used, what could have happened? And OSHA found out that 60% of those people could have been saved by using the AED device. So I encourage you to, again, figure out more about what an AED device is and where they're actually located, and don't be afraid to use them. I want to conclude with this. I hope that I've stressed the importance to you of why people should know first aid, that it should involve things from dealing with a head to toe, when to move somebody, when to actually breathe for somebody, of course the process of calling for help, how to deal with stopping bleeding, things that you could take on that could actually save someone's life while you're waiting on a first aid responder to come. So don't be without knowledge. This is basic information that everybody should do. Everybody's capable of taking it on. A couple-day course could make all the difference in the world to someone's life. So thank you very much.
Thank you.